So generally I love to do these calls where we can actually be face to face, kind of get a vibe off of each other, because I know that your imagery is not only a very big financial investment, but it's also a really big emotional investment, because I'm somebody who would be kind of in your face for a large portion of a very important day, and so I want to make sure that we click and have a good vibe together. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that's going to quite work in this case for us to have that face to face time, but I would still love to ask you some of the questions that I generally ask at the beginning of these calls. And if you could just either write them out to me in an email or ideally take a little recording of you guys telling me the answers to these questions, that would be really lovely, just so we could get to know each other a little bit better. But I like to ask my couples, generally, how did you guys meet? Kind of what is your relationship nutshell story? And kind of get to know you and your unique relationship, because that's really what makes these weddings and these relationships worth it and exciting and amazing, is because everybody is so unique and has their own unique stories. So kind of giving me a little bit of your relationship story. I know in your inquiry form I got a little bit of what you guys like to do together, so any more stuff like that, but really kind of focusing in on that, like, how did you guys meet, relationship nutshell story, and then moving into how did the proposal go, like what was the proposal vibe. I generally also at this point like to tell my own proposal story, a little bit of details on that. So my husband is from Brazil, so when we kind of realized we really didn't have that like official conversation that was like, where's this going, like what's the future hold for this relationship, we've kind of always had this just like unspoken understanding between us, so I don't actually remember us ever having that conversation. So we sort of casually talked one day, I guess, like, hey, so we're gonna get married. We know this. So we should probably do that before your visa expires so you can stay in this country with me. And so we decided to just plan a date around what date we wanted to be our anniversary date. So that just happened to be about a month away from when we had this conversation. And then we started getting plans ready for, we had the teeny little wedding and then a bigger one a year later to celebrate with more friends and family before COVID made that cool and understandable. So that was a little confusing for people at first, because we just needed to get it done, get started on the green card stuff. But one issue was that my fingers are really, really tiny. I have like a 4.5 size ring finger, and it was taking forever for the ring to come in. So about a week before our wedding, my husband had technically not proposed yet. So I sort of mentioned to him that it might be a good idea to get engaged before we get married. And so he said he wanted to wait for the ring, and I was like, well, it's not coming, so let's just do this. I want to tell my friends I'm engaged. And you could propose with a stick, and I don't care, like, what I'm gonna say, I've got the dress, like, we've got all the plan, like, you'd know what's happening. And it still surprised me. He like asked if I wanted to go on a hike, and it was like the first hike we'd ever gone on with my family, all of us together, and this time just the two of us. And I was completely oblivious, and the whole hike he was behind me looking for the right stick. And so he did end up proposing with a stick, because I said, I don't care, you could propose with a stick, I'll say yes. And that was great, because we actually didn't end up getting my engagement ring until the day after our wedding. So that was a good idea, and we still have the stick. So kind of a little bit about our proposal story, and then I'd love to hear yours as well. And then kind of moving into some wedding day vision stuff. Just what does your ideal wedding day scenario look like? And that can be talking about specific imagery that comes to mind. If you're looking through your wedding album years from now, like what are some pictures that pop out? What are some, just moments that are really important? It can be specific details. It can be just a general vibe of how you want the day to go. Just kind of when you picture your ideal wedding day, what does that look like to you? So not really too much specific things on like how you have to describe that. However that feels right for you to describe, I would love to hear it. And then usually around this time I'd also kind of talk a little bit about my two wedding experiences, and how that has impacted my photography, the way that I go about things in my business based on my two different wedding experiences. So I had the really tiny one, and I had the bigger one a year later. So for the little tiny one, really it was on a friend's deck. It was very, very small, and our photographer wasn't necessarily a wedding photographer. We really were on a super tight budget, so we hired somebody who wasn't a photographer, and there are pros and cons to that, and I'll talk about the pros and cons we experienced at both weddings. But I think the really big pro with him was that he was trying to do it for us, like, because he wasn't trying to break into the business or anything. He was focused on doing things for us. And so even though maybe the imagery wasn't the most professional, he didn't have the highest class equipment, he really was focused on like what we wanted and making it a good day for us. So that was something that I really appreciated and wanted to work into my business, and really focusing on my clients and their stories, and that this is not about me. And we had the kind of opposite experience with our second photographer, where we did spend a little bit more, somebody who was getting into the wedding industry, somebody who had better equipment, all that kind of stuff, but they were so focused on their portfolio and like Pinterestiness that there were some moments that were really sentimentally important to us, but because they weren't very Pinterest-esque, we never got them. We never saw those photos, and our photographer literally said it was because they didn't fit with her story of the day. And I knew as a photographer, as we were taking some of these photos, that they weren't, like, the location didn't have the best lighting, but the location was what was sentimental about them. And like maybe it was hard to get a composition, but like, you gotta be creative. And so that was really upsetting for us. There were a lot of things that we asked for that we didn't get because this photographer was more focused on their portfolio and being like Pinteresty or whatever, and wasn't really focused enough on us as a couple. So that's something that just has become very, very important to me as I have moved forward in my business, that this is not about me. This is about you and your story and all the unique things that make you and make your day unique and make your relationship unique. So anything that is important to you is important to me, and of course I'm going to go into it trying to, capture everything in like the best light, the best angles, like creatively, and make everything look beautiful. But if you tell me that something seemingly mundane or maybe not Instagrammy or whatever is important to you, I will capture that. Like, maybe it won't end up on the front page of my website, but that doesn't matter to me. If it matters to you, it matters to me. I do really like to focus on the day in a, you know, memories sort of way. So I don't really want to be focusing on things like for the gram. I want to be focusing on capturing actual memories, not manufacturing memories. Like I've had couples who wanted me to photograph, say like their kids down by the lake fishing, and I'd ask, well, are they planning on fishing? Like, do they fish? Like, is that something they like to do? And they're like, well, no, we don't know if they'll be doing that, but we'd love it if you would take them down there, give them fishing poles, and take some photos of them by the lake, because there's this lake and it's really pretty down there. And that's not necessarily something I want to do. I don't really want to take time out of your day to create moments that aren't organically happening. Of course, there are times like bride and groom portrait time that I want to help pose, and I don't even really like the word pose, but like I want to give some direction. I don't want to just tell you like go stand over there and look pretty, because I don't even know what I'd do if somebody told me to stand over there and look pretty. It's a very vague direction. I want to give you enough direction in times like that you don't feel uncomfortable and like, oh, what do I do? But I still want to give enough breathing room to have that moment be a memory. I don't want your memories of like your bride and groom portrait time to be just of like feeling like you're just taking a bunch of photos. Because I really feel like photos and videos, they are like flypaper for your emotions, your feelings, your memories. You look at that photo, it brings you back to that moment, and however you were feeling in that moment, it doesn't matter if it's like the most visually stunning photo. What you're going to think of when you look at that photo is how you're feeling in that moment. So I want to make sure that we are creating real memories and not manufacturing artificial moments, artificial memories. And I love like bride and groom portrait time because it's really one of the only times throughout the day that you're actually like having that time to yourselves. Granted, I'm there stalking you, but it's one of the few moments throughout your day that you get to actually just like be together and like look into each other's eyes and absorb the fact that, oh my God, you just got married, like you're starting the rest of your lives, because the rest of the day you're the most popular people. And it's really hard actually to get kind of a moment to yourselves to really like slow down for a second, like absorb like what is happening. And so I really want bride and groom portrait time to be one of those times that you can absorb that, which is why I have a lot of clients that really don't want anything to feel like directed, or they just really want a casual, candid day. And I love that. I also want you to have a casual, candid day. I want you to like just be enjoying your day, and I don't want to feel like we're going like just from photo shoot to photo shoot to photo shoot. But I still feel like bride and groom portrait time is a time where it doesn't have to feel like that. It can feel like just a time you guys get to yourselves. But speaking of that, I also get a lot of questions sometimes about the family groupings. Some of these kind of more necessary, not candid moments that nobody really likes doing, but seems pretty necessary. It's nice to have those photos later. And I do like to work with you to make sure that we're getting through those and setting that up to be as efficient as possible so that we can get through that and be done with it as soon as possible. I have a lot of clients who actually come back to me saying like, wow, that was one of the fastest family portrait times I've been in a lot of weddings, and that went by really quickly, and that was really painless, because I really want to make sure that we're just like getting through that as quickly as possible, because that's nobody's favorite part of the day. I really want you to be able to enjoy your day, and even though we will have this timeline of events that we're trying to stick to, I just really want to make sure that you're just enjoying the day, and I'm helping that flow go along. And if you have a planner, all your other vendors, like, will be working together to make sure that the day is flowing well. But I really want to focus on making sure you're just enjoying your day and we're still hitting those things. I'll be wearing, an Apple Watch, so I'm going to have my shot list, timeline, all that stuff on my watch to check off. But really, as long as you guys are married by the end of the day, it's been a success. And I don't want you to have to be stressing over delayed timeline things or anything like that, because I just want you to be enjoying and absorbing your day as much as you can and trying to help facilitate that and, low stress and all that fun stuff. So kind of off of there, I'll go a little bit more into like my official spiel. First, going over packages, a few things that I have a few things I like to talk about with my packages. So first, I like to touch on the fact that my hours of coverage covers, that's from when I start shooting to when I stop shooting. So that means that anytime that I need to show up and get everything ready, that's my time. And any time I need, for packing up and heading out, that's also my time. So hours of coverage is from when I start shooting to when I stop shooting, so that you are actually getting that many hours of coverage time, not just of me being there. Then getting all of your digital photos, that means I'm trying to get you as many photos from the day that don't have blinks or blurs or anything bad like that. I want to give you a lot of options because I do like to shoot so candidly. That means I'm wanting to really give you different angles. I know everybody sees themselves differently and likes different things about themselves, so I want to give you as many options as possible. So I tend to deliver 150 to 200 photos per hour of coverage, and that's can end up being a lot of photos. So it can take quite a while to get you your final gallery of your wedding imagery. So I want to give you a couple of sneak peeks before then. I want to get you a little, like 5 to 10 photo sneak peek, just days after the wedding is over. And then within the first month of your wedding date, I want to get you like a pretty significant, like couple hundred photos in a gallery sneak peek. One, because then you get a better idea of what your full gallery is going to look like. This is kind of like the my favorites section of the gallery, just delivered to you ahead of time. So you get an idea of what everything's going to look like, and you can send this gallery to your friends and family who are maybe a little eager to see the photos. I find that my clients are pretty patient with me, but sometimes friends and family aren't patient with you, so I want to give you something that you can share with them. But again, this is something that I came across with my photographer, that it was not a great experience, was that she didn't really communicate about how long photos were going to take. And so after like 4 months, without any communication, I started going to the worst places. Like, oh my gosh, she lost all the photos. Oh my gosh, they like all turned out badly. So I want to make sure that you don't have any doubts like that this gallery is going to give you an idea of what to look forward to. And, you can share them and you can use them for thank you cards and all those sort of things. So you got that mini sneak peek and then a bit larger sneak peek before you get your full gallery, which could take like 4 or 5 months to get to you, but at least you'll have a good chunk of photos to kind of tide you over while you're waiting for that full gallery to come through. Then there's the artfully crafted highlight video, which if you're choosing to include video in your package, if you don't want to do video, then it's kind of the same package, just minus all the video stuff. but I always want to go over video things because you can always add things to your package, but you can't take things away from your package. So it's always great to just know what video entails if you choose to add that onto a package later on. So the artfully crafted highlight video, I like to say that my videos are somewhere kind of in between a full-length documentary style video and the shorter, snappier, like little highlight videos that can be like 3 to 4 to 8 minutes long, and then the long documentary style ones can be like over an hour, and you're just not likely to watch that. So I really want to kind of find the middle ground between those two different styles. I want to put in as much content from your day into your video as I possibly can, while still maintaining a creative flow where, you know, you're going to want to watch the video over and over again. I want it to be something that you don't feel like is dragging on, but still is putting as much of your day in there as possible. So that means that I'm going to put as much of the ceremony in there as fits the flow, but the entire ceremony is not going to be in there. I'm going to try to put in as much toast moments as I can while still, you know, giving it a good flow and not having toasts take over the entire video, but not having all the toasts in there. So that's also why in my add-ons I have the options for full ceremony video, full reception video, so that if that is something that you want, is the entire ceremony or all the toasts, that is something you can add on. I do kind of let clients know that I try to add in as much as I possibly can into the full video, so that's something that maybe you want to add on later after you've gotten your video and seen what all I've put in there, so you don't feel like you've wasted your money or anything like that. But if you're for sure, like, we are going to want the entire ceremony, adding that on at this point in your first purchase is going to save you a little bit of money, because I do discount those add-ons at the time of booking. But if you're not so sure, it's definitely something I would wait on. But I just want to make sure that I'm giving you a video that really encompasses as much of your day as I possibly can. And then because I really want this to be about you, it's your video, not mine, I include a personal review session in all of my packages that include video. And the personal review session is a chance for you to go over things in your video with me and make some tweaks and changes, because with photos, if there's a photo you don't like, you just don't use it. But if there's a clip in your video that you don't like, it's kind of stuck in there and there's not really much you can do about it. So I want to make sure that you've got like the opportunity to make little adjustments like that. Like, I've had a client where I thought she looked beautiful getting her hair done in this clip, but she hadn't gotten any of her makeup done yet, and she didn't want a clip without makeup on in her video. Or, you know, I had a bride, all of her bridesmaids gave her a big hug, and I thought it was really cute, but a little bit of this was going on, and so we removed that, replaced it with something else. Or even things as little as, you know, hey, at this one clip at minute 4 and 27 seconds, can we just shorten that a little bit? So we can either do that through email, we can do a screen share Zoom session, or if, you know, you're in town, we can do that in my studio and go over things. But just kind of want to give that opportunity, because I might watch your video once after I'm done with it, because I'll have watched it so many times by then. I want it to be something you watch over and over and over again. And if there's something in there that is really bothersome to you, then you're not going to be wanting to watch it over and over. So I want to make sure that that's something that we get fixed. One thing that is pretty difficult to change later on is the music. The music is kind of the foundation of the video, and I do have to legally license my music, which means that a lot of like big name songs and big name bands and artists are kind of off the table because they're really difficult to license or really expensive to license legally. So I license all of my music from a website called Artlist, and I can send you that site. You can look for a song. I just have to have a song that has a musical and instrumental version, or lyrical and instrumental version, so that I can cut it up and put in vows, stuff like that. Or you can do just an instrumental version, but I haven't had any couples actually take me up on that because it is a pretty overwhelming site with just so much music to look through. So I use my social media teaser clip, both as a sneak peek video for you that I try to get to you within the first month of your wedding, along with that larger photo sneak peek. So it's one, just a video sneak peek giving you an idea of what your video imagery looked like that day. You can share it on social media, you can share it with your friends, just have it to see what your video kind of could look like, but in a much shorter version. But I also send that video in like 4 different versions with 4 different songs, relatively the same footage over top, but cut differently based on the songs, so you can get a vibe for how the music influences the flow and vibe and feel and everything of the video, so then you can approve which song you want me to move forward with for your full video. So I'm not going to get started on your full video until I get approval for that song, because it really is the foundation of the video, and I want to make sure that you are happy with it. And if for some reason I send you all these options and you're not feeling any of them, you can just like let me know. We're looking for something a little bit more upbeat, or something slower, or something with a male vocalist, and I'll go back to the drawing board and try to find something that fits your guys' vibe and what you want in your video. So then the last thing on there is a custom USB. So we've got these little custom USBs that I put all of your imagery on, your photos and videos and everything, because in this technical age of rapidly developing technology, we can actually easily lose digital files in the depths of our computer, updating hard drives, updating phones, all that stuff. So I want to make sure there's a physical location that you have your imagery, so that even if you can't find it on the computer, you can go back and find your little USB, which I have a lot of clients put them on like a little shelf as a decoration because it's cute and wooden. It's got their names and some mountains on it, so that that can be something that you can find your imagery pretty quickly if you've lost it in the depths of the digital sphere. Then the last thing that is complimentary in all of my packages is an engagement session. I include an engagement session in all of my packages, mostly so that we have the chance potentially to work together before the wedding day. I get to see what makes you guys come alive in front of my camera. You guys get to see what it's like to be in front of my camera. I've had more and more clients using this like the week of their wedding, so they can use it when they're in town before the wedding, or maybe when they're in town dealing with other vendor things, meeting with planners, bakers, venues, stuff like that, and just gives us the opportunity to work together on not such a hectic day as the wedding day, and just get to know each other a little bit better and hang out, and also gives you some fun photos of yourselves, not time-stamped with wedding day attire and all of that. So that's a good opportunity to just work out what works best for you as a unique couple. So then on the wedding day, we can kind of go back to basics in a way. We start doing bride and groom portrait time. It's like, hey, remember that thing that we did in the engagement session? that you guys were really good at, or remember that one pose that we did and that was awesome, or you guys can even be like, oh, I really liked that one photo. Can we do that again? And just can make one bride and groom portrait time a little less nerve-wracking if that's something that you're kind of nervous about, because now we've already worked together. You already know what it's like to be in front of my camera as a couple, and then also you already know some of the poses and things that I do, and we can kind of just go through it a little bit more naturally and not have to waste time on maybe some things that don't work for you, because I really don't want to be putting you into poses that don't fit your personalities. And generally I get a pretty good vibe of my couples, and so I can feel like what's not going to work with you. I've had a couple, I remember once that she had this amazing dress that I could tell would just look so beautiful doing like a twirl with the mountains in the background, but I also could tell they were not a twirly couple, so I still gave them the option, like, hey, do you want to do a twirl in front of the mountains? It would be stunning and beautiful, but it doesn't really feel like it fits your personalities. And they're like, no, it doesn't. So we didn't do that, because what is the purpose of having a photo that looks visually stunning if it doesn't, represent you well as a couple? Then it just is like, oh, that's that photo that our photographer made us take that was weird and didn't fit us, and that's our memory of that photo. So I want to make sure that we're doing prompts and poses and things that fit you guys uniquely as a couple. And a engagement session is a good place to suss out what works well, and I can just get a better vibe. But it's complimentary, so you don't have to use it at all, and we can try to set it up way in advance, or we can set it up the week of. I've had couples literally do their engagement sessions the day before their wedding, so we can work out however that works for you to come into town or go up into the mountains with me, and whatever you're feeling, go downtown, and we can kind of plan that all out, get that on the books, and that can just be a fun other way to get to know each other. But other than that, I want to be available for questions and emailing me. Like, you can ask me questions as small as, hey, we want to throw some petals at the end of the ceremony. Do you like this color or this color? Or, vendor advice, anything like that. I want to be here to help you and build our relationship and all that kind of stuff, so that by the time we get to the wedding day, I don't feel like a stranger, that I'm more like a friend who has a camera, because then that just makes it a little bit easier for you to be natural in front of me and not feel like, oh, there's this strange person just stalking me throughout my wedding day. So once you have chosen a package and you're feeling confident about it, remember, you can always add on to a package, but you can't take away. So I always recommend, if you're on the fence between photo and video, or 6 hours and 8 hours, go with the lower package, and then we can always add on to the package. But if you go with a higher package and decide you want to go lower, that's not something that we can do, so you're a little bit stuck with that package. So just making sure you're picking a good start place for us to get your date booked and locked in. So once you have decided on that package, I'll send you a booking proposal that will have a 30% deposit on there and your contract. Once you've got that all squared away, you'll get your client portal, which will have everything to do with me in there. All your questionnaires, your galleries will be there eventually. Your account statement is in there, so you've got that 30% deposit paid, but your final invoice will be on there. And I like to call this my open payment plan, because you can open that final invoice and pay whatever amount you want at whatever point you want. Before the wedding day, you'll get an official email with that invoice 2 weeks before the wedding day, but you can make payments on it however you'd like. So that's my open payment plan system. And then you'll start getting emails from me, tips and tricks, all this sort of stuff. Then The big email is that wedding day questionnaire, which is available in your portal if you want to fill it out beforehand, but you should be getting that a little over a month before your wedding date to fill that all out so I can get your timeline and shot list and family groupings and kind of all that stuff figured out. Then we'll set up another Zoom call to go over everything, go over the timeline, shot list, like just make sure everything's looking good. Neither of us have any questions. We're all on the same page. This is usually where we, hammer out a few tiny little details about timeline stuff, or we grow the shot list, because I'm giving you anecdotes and things that give you ideas of what to put on the shot list. And that can be things from like small, like literal details of things. Like I had a bride this year that had a photo of her and her dad sewn into his tie, and it was really cute, like on the bottom of his tie, but it was on the back. And so that was something that was really great for me to know about, because if I hadn't known about it, I don't generally like go snooping around in people's suits, and it was not readily seen or available to me to see. So that was something that was great for me to know about. But I also have people who are just like, hey, we really want to make sure that we get a lot of guests. So like, please focus on guests, or please focus on, the table decor, things like that. Because a lot of people think that there's sort of this set shot list that all photographers know. And of course, the first kiss and rings, and like there are things that I try to get at every wedding, but they are really all unique. And I can't tell the difference between great grandma's pearl earrings and ones you got at Claire's. And I've had a wedding where there was a barrel of peaches over in the corner, and I don't know if the venue always has a barrel of peaches, or the wedding planner thought that fit the color palette, or those peaches were actually like important to the couple's story, which at that wedding turned out to be the case. And so I want to make sure that I incorporate those peaches in there somehow. But if they just were at the venue, I wouldn't really take a lot of time to make sure I'm getting those peaches. So just figuring out like what pieces of your day are the most important to you really helps me to make sure that I'm capturing everything adequately for your story. I'm still keeping an eye out and really trying to capture like as much as I possibly can. Just running around as we get to the wedding day. I'm just running around trying to capture everything I possibly can. With the camera that's in my hand, if I'm doing photo and video, I'm switching back and forth between photo and video, and then I've got cameras on tripods with my assistant and possibly a second shooter to make sure that we're capturing the whole ceremony, toasts, things like that I can't just do some photos of and then do some video of. Making sure that we got video running on those tripods throughout those events. But otherwise, I'm just really trying to keep my eyes out and capture as many moments and details as I see. But it really helps that I've got that shot list on my watch, so I can be checking things off. So I really am like that photographer who I'm going to push and really make sure that I get all the things that are important to you up until the point where you told me that they're not important to you anymore. Which means like, if you say sunset photos or like golden hour photos are important to you and we're about to start toasts, I'm going to go talk to the DJ and be like, hey, can we pause toasts because like the sunset's looking amazing outside. I'm going to steal a couple for 5 minutes. And we're going to get some photos outside real quick. So like, can you please not announce toasts or not announce cake cutting or whatever. So I will ask those questions and push for those moments up until the point where you're like, you know what, actually, we don't really care about that anymore. I just had a wedding recently where there were going to be fireworks, and the couple really wanted fireworks in the background of the photos, but then it turned out they were really far away and kind of behind some trees. So I was like, we can do it, but it's going to require you guys to come outside with me for like 20 minutes or so to kind of wait for the right fireworks to pop up. And they decided that, you know what, actually, we don't care about it as much as we thought that we were going to, or as much as we did originally. Now I would rather just stay inside and hang out with my people. And so, like, okay, yeah, no, that works. You guys can do that. So I'll push for whatever we've decided on up until the point that you say no. So then about 30 minutes before my time is up, I'll check in with you, because you should have no idea what time it is, because you should just be enjoying your day, and I'll just check in and make sure, like, okay, did we get everything on the shot list, on, like, all of our lists, everything is all good, timeline is wrapping up. If there's anything that we haven't done, just be kind of like, okay, so we've got first dances still and cake cutting, but we maybe only have enough time for one of those. Which one do you want to do? Or do you want to try to squeeze those both in? Like, I'll work with the planner and the DJ and make sure that happens. Or we can add time on if we're really running behind. We can add on an hour so we can fit in more stuff. Or, we've got some stuff on the shot list still. Like, let's make sure that we get those done. Or you can just be like, you know what, actually, it's fine. We don't care about that anymore. So I just want to make sure that everybody's feeling very solid before I start packing my stuff up and heading out. So I'm not just going to, like, disappear at the end of my time. I'll check in with you before heading out. Half an hour before my time is up, and then I'll still try to check in as I've packed up and say goodbye. So then, after the wedding, we're getting those sneak peeks to you guys. Again, if, like, you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If I send you either one of your sneak peeks and you're like, oh, actually, could we make them a little brighter or a little moodier or a little more colorful? I do tend to edit very colorfully. I'm trying to, kind of stick to timeless look of, like, what your day looked like, but still wanting them to look, like, artistic and edited and have a pop. But if you notice looking through my blogs that a lot of weddings have, a little bit different vibe. I do tend to personalize my edits a teeny bit for the couple and their vibe and their day, but still trying to maintain my style. But if you have tiny little tweaks, we can talk about that as I go into editing your full gallery. And then video, I'm really going to be very couple and story oriented. Sometimes little details just they don't have really a good place in the video. Like, it would be kind of random for them to pop up. But again, we've got that personal review session to go over the video stuff. So that's kind of some of my editing. Oh, and another point I just always like to throw out there. I'm very body positivity minded, so I don't digitally manipulate people's bodies. I'm not gonna, like, Photoshop you skinny or anything like that, because I think everybody's beautiful the way that they are, and I actually think it's kind of offensive to digitally manipulate somebody's body. It's like me telling them that they're not pretty enough the way that they are, and I don't like that message, so I don't do that. So I just always want to put that out there, setting expectations that I'm not going to Photoshop anybody skinny. But other than that, that is kind of my spiel. I want to know any questions that you guys have about any part of this that didn't make sense, or you just have more questions about. And then I just really want to be here to keep things going, keep our relationship building as we get closer to the day. And if you end up going a different direction, totally no hard feelings, like, all good. It's more important to me that you're finding the right person for you, because, as I said, this is a really big emotional and financial investment. So really no hard feelings, but just let me know, because then I'll probably start checking in with you, and if you went a different way, I can just stop bothering you and take you out of my system. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And other than that, I would really love to hear from you, either in a detailed email with some stories, or a little selfie video of you guys, because I do really like getting to feel a vibe between us, because, as I've mentioned, the relationship is very important to me. It just helps me capture your guys' day and story better if I feel like I know a little bit more about you as a unique couple. So let me know your thoughts and stories and questions, and I'm looking forward to continuing getting to know you and chatting with you more.